Triple H is back at the WWE Performance Center. We'll talk about his return to his duties and what that could mean for WWE NXT moving forward. We also have an update on Rhea Ripley, her injury, and how long she could be out of action for. Plus, an NXT 2.0 star was backstage at SmackDown on Friday. All this and more in today's WWE news. Hey guys, welcome back to Wrestling News 365. Hope everyone is doing very well. As always, there are plenty of news stories to get into in the world of WWE. So let's start off talking about the return of Triple H. Yes, now it's been a pretty eventful year for Triple H, hasn't it? Of course, he announced his in-ring retirement after his cardiac event last year, resumed light duties in WWE around sort of April time when he was doing those media tours, of course, appeared at WrestleMania. But we didn't really know what the situation was when it came to NXT and his previous duties at the Performance Center as the man in charge of developing talent, the man in charge of NXT. And it's actually been quite curious, actually, because this is a guy that obviously is so synonymous with creating NXT, but NXT 2.0 has kind of happened a bit independent of him because when NXT 2.0 was just about to get started, of course, he then had his cardiac event. But it does look as though WWE Hall of Famer Paul Levesque, formerly known as Triple H, is once again taking responsibility backstage after suffering a cardiac event last year. According to a new report from John Pollock of Post Wrestling, Levesque spoke as part of a meeting yesterday at the WWE Performance Center and specifically used the phrasing, quote, "I'm back." Now, it's not certain what this exactly means, though one could naturally see it as Levesque announcing his return to a prominent backstage role within the promotion. Now, this is what John Pollock said in his tweet yesterday, quote, "According to multiple sources, Paul Levesque was in Orlando today and spoke at the WWE Performance Center. Of the people I've heard from, Levesque stated, quote, 'He's back.' It is unknown what that entails, but that is the wording that I was given." Now, of course, as I mentioned, Levesque was hospitalized in 2021 due to viral pneumonia building up fluid in his lungs and heart, a situation that ultimately revealed a genetic heart condition and caused Levesque's heart to nearly fail completely. Now, while he was gone, Levesque's executive producer position in WWE NXT was put to the side and picked up by one of his closest friends both on and off screen, that being Shawn Michaels, who has been at the helm for NXT 2.0 and NXT UK during Triple H's absence. Now, the Heartbreak Kid reportedly took over most of Triple H's duties during this time period and essentially became the go-to guy when it came to NXT. He became the Triple H. In the same way that Triple H was in charge and the executive producer and was the Vince McMahon, shall we say, of NXT, that became Shawn Michaels in Triple H's absence. Now, even after Levesque returned, retaining his corporate role at WWE headquarters, his duties were reportedly drastically different than they were before his absence, suggesting that he wasn't actually influencing NXT much during his recovery, a situation that now might be changing. Now, Levesque was also a big part of WWE welcoming a new class to the NIL, the Next in Line program that chooses standout athletes to report to the WWE Performance Center. Now, the program focuses on developing useful skills for a WWE career-like brand building, media influence, communication, live event promotion, creative writing, and community relations, all aspects of pro wrestling at which Levesque excels. So it's good news. Obviously, it's good news. I think that this was probably always going to happen. It's a big story, and it's big news that Triple H is back at the Performance Center, and he's back, it would appear, doing what he did before. Does this mean that NXT 2.0 is going to turn like that and go back into the old black and gold version of NXT? No. Triple H was still behind that happening. It was just a timing situation. Triple H was still going to oversee the transition of NXT into NXT 2.0. I'm actually sure that he did a lot of groundwork. If you go back and watch that Nick Khan interview that he did with Ariel Helwani around SummerSlam time last year, which was just before Triple H got sick, Triple H in his interview on ESPN said that it was during those tryouts in Vegas in SummerSlam weekend that he was just doing so much and he was feeling run down, he was feeling ill. That led to the viral pneumonia, that led to the revelation that he had this heart condition and nearly had heart failure because of it. It was around that period of time Nick Khan did an interview with Ariel Helwani and he was asked about NXT because the promos about a new version of NXT or a revamped version of NXT were already airing during that time period. And he was asked what's going on with NXT, and Nick Khan said NXT is going to be revamped, it's going to be rebranded, and it's going to be overseen by Triple H, because that's Triple H's brand, that's Triple H's role. So we didn't see NXT 2.0 because Triple H was absent. We saw NXT 2.0 and we saw the development of NXT 2.0 because that was always the plan. Triple H was always going to be in charge of that. Obviously, because he got sick, Shawn Michaels picked up that mantle and ran with it. But it was always going to be the case that that Triple H was always going to be in charge of that. That was always going to happen. So this would just be the natural resumption of picking up his role. I would assume, again, with Triple H, that this is a situation whereby he came back in April, resumed his duties from the corporate side of things, and had to ease his way into it. We'll have to wait and see if he's up to the rigors of it. I'm sure that he's got the best medical team possible. It can't help with all of the situation and circumstance that's going on right now in WWE, but I would assume that this was always the plan. So it's great to see Triple H back, and hopefully he can have a positive influence on the brand that he really helped develop. Now let's talk about Rhea Ripley. Of course, it was a big story coming out of Raw on Monday that Rhea Ripley was not going to be facing Bianca Belair at Money in the Bank for the Raw Women's Championship. Now, clearer details regarding the injury of Rhea Ripley have become available via a response from the former Raw Women's Champion on Instagram. Now, at the time, this past Monday, there was no details given as to what was going on with Rhea Ripley, her injury, how long she was going to be gone for, etc., etc., etc. Now, alongside a new photo posted to Instagram, a user of the platform commented on her photo and wrote, "You don't look injured like someone said, big eyes emoji." Now, Ripley would defend herself and give some insight into her injuries with her response saying, quote, "brain/teeth injury. Can't see a brain injury. Stop being incompetent and reaching at nothing." So basically saying, actually, it's most likely, I would assume, it's a concussion or something like that. Now, this ongoing injury may have something to do with a previous mishap that required her to get some dental work done. Ripley posted some pictures on June 8 showing a metal wire that appears to be holding her front two teeth together, caused by a knee that stiffly collided with her mouth. So we could be looking at a situation where that knee collided with her face. She had to get dental work done, and obviously she's got an oral injury, but also she might have had a concussion at the time, and she's still recovering from it, still having some lasting effects. We'll have to wait and see. And when it comes to other details surrounding this injury, there is some backstage news regarding the timescale and the time frame that Rhea Ripley could be returning. Now, Dave Meltzer has said on the latest edition of Wrestling Observer Radio that this injury is not expected to be a long-term injury. As I mentioned, she said it was a brain/teeth injury, and she is expected to be back soon. But because of this injury, WWE held that fatal five-way at the start of Raw this past week to create a new number one contender for Bianca Belair's title. In the end, it was Carmella, which, no disrespect to Carmella, is a serious downgrade in terms of the excitement for that match. I really, could care less, to be honest, about that match. But considering that the report is that she's not going to be out of action for too long, the assumption maybe would be that she has another match against Bianca Belair at SummerSlam, but there have been rumors previously, actually, that it could be Becky Lynch versus Bianca Belair once again at SummerSlam, 12 months after Becky Lynch returned to the company and defeated Bianca Belair in just a few seconds at SummerSlam for the SmackDown Women's Championship. Again, I have really no interest in seeing that match because we've seen it multiple times, but we'll wait and see what happens with that one in the future. Finally, I mentioned that there was an NXT 2.0 star at SmackDown this past week. Now, Rhea, of course, finally came to Raw, but could his former tag team partner be headed to SmackDown? PW Insider is reporting that NXT star Sanga was backstage at last Friday's episode of SmackDown. Formerly known as Surav in WWE, Sanga was recently the muscle to NXT star Grayson Waller. However, the duo no longer appears to be working together. Sanga being backstage at SmackDown has led to some speculation that the big man will be heading to the blue brand soon. Now, it's not the first time that Sanga has been at SmackDown. He actually wrestled dark matches before SmackDown episodes on June 3rd and June 10th, both times defeating Wes Lee. We'll have to wait and see. This could be part of the LA Knight's new gimmick, all that kind of stuff. It might be nothing, but as is the case with Vince McMahon and Bruce Pritchard, they like big guys with size, and Sanga fits into that category. So I wouldn't be shocked if we see something happen with that in the future. As I mentioned, LA Knight's been teasing the reveal of one of his models in the future. Maybe it's going to be Sanga. We'll have to wait and see. But anyway, guys, let me know your thoughts on today's WWE news story in the comment section below. Be sure to like and subscribe to Wrestle News 365, and I'll speak for you again very, very soon. Hey guys, thank you for watching, listening, streaming, or however you come across this video today. Be sure to click on the video on the right there to watch our next video, or click the bottom there to subscribe, or the bottom right hand corner. Thank you very much, and I'll speak to you again very soon.